In this episode, we clean up the firewall a little bit, put tires and wheels on it, and make it roll. Put the sheet metal on the front of it temporarily, just so we see what it looks like, and we roll it outside, do a little walk around. I'm going to take this radiator support off this original subframe. Looks like there's 2 rivets on each side, which I'm going to take my grinder and grind them down and then try to punch them out with a punch. And then if you go around to the front, looks like there's 2 bolts up here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts that bolts the inner fender well on, and then 1, 2 right here that bolts this on. I'm going to grind those things off, punch that out, and take these bolts out, and hopefully this thing comes off. Alright, I got it off of there. I just ground the heads of them off, and I just took my hammer and just hit it right there. I mean, I just beat the crap out of it until they pulled free. And there was one more bolt that I didn't see, and I was having hell getting it off, but that sucker's hid right there in the corner of that. And there's where it is on this thing. I didn't see it because I didn't crawl underneath there to look at it. But I got it off now. I'm going to take and clean it up and paint it. And that thing right there, I think I'm just going to take a pickle fork and knock these ball joints off. That way I can just split this into 2 pieces. Then I can haul it out of this garage. I'm tired of looking at it. Alright, I went ahead and test fitted that on there. I had to drill this one hole out right here. Let me get this off. I had to drill that hole bigger because it didn't line up, but the other 3 lined up just fine. So I don't know if that is a mistake that they made when they drilled that hole, or if this thing's just off a little bit, or if they're all different. Either way, it wasn't that bad. I just drilled that hole a little bit bigger with a unibit, and it fits up there, which worked out great because I left it bolted on there and wire wheeled all the undercoating and stuff off the inside of that, which was kind of a pain in the butt. But I'm gonna get this thing cleaned up a little bit more and get it painted. Next, I'm gonna tackle clean this firewall up a little bit. I'm gonna take this master cylinder off because I'm not gonna be able to use it anymore. I'm gonna go ahead and take the wiper off, but I'm gonna put it back on. I'm gonna keep the wipers on there as long as that works. This thing, I don't know what it is, it's gone, and I'll probably take the heater box out. Once I get everything cleaned up, I'll try to fill in these holes. I've been around circling ones that I'm gonna fill in with some weld. I'll go ahead and take this fuse box off from the inside. I'll get all this cleaned up and try to put a little paint on it. It's the plan. First thing I'm gonna take off is this wiring harness. I took and marked all the wires what they went to, or at least what I thought they went to. I know that one goes to winch wipers. But I'll set it aside. Between this group of wires and the group of wires that go to the radiator support, I'll cut out the wires I'm not going to use and just rebuild the loom. But for now, I'm going to keep them all. Looks like the fuse box got 2 bolts that hold it on right there. I'm going to have to locate those from inside the car. Alright, I found them here. You might not be able to make this out on camera, but there's one right there on the bottom, and the other one is underneath the top fuse. And they look like they may be maybe 1/4-inch head screws. Next, I'm going to take this master cylinder off. It looks like it's just got 2 bolts that hold it on. We'll have to get a dual master cylinder to run the new brakes. Once you get that off, this little thing right here just pops off. Alright, the wiper motor looks like it's just 3 5/16 head bolts, and there's a little clip on the inside. I'll show you the clip. It's under the dash just right above the gas pedal. I think that clip you just pry up on that and it pops right off. I'm gonna go ahead and take this gas pedal off. It's just 2 3/8 head bolts. This piece I'll probably reuse too. Next thing I'm gonna remove is this heater box. Man, I never hooked it up when I had this car running before. I don't know if the fan works. I don't know if the heater core leaks. I don't know any of those answers. But as of right now, I don't think I'll ever need it. But I'm not going to take it out and then fill in all these holes like a lot of people do. I'm just gonna take it out and I'll probably build a plate that bolts in from the inside to cover these holes up for now. And that way, if I ever do want to put the heater box back in, because it is complete, I could put it back in and have it. But for now, I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna start with the inside. On these knobs, you just pull them out. There's a little tab on the back of them that you just fold forward, that little tab. You just push it towards the knob and it releases it. Then this unscrews. I'm sure they make a special tool for this, but a little screwdriver works. You get that unscrewed, that whole piece comes off, and it just pushes through the dash like that. As far as the bolts on the inside, all I'm seeing right now is the one right there above the where the gas pedal goes, and then there's one right here behind where the glove box is. That's all I'm seeing on the inside right now. Then on the outside, it looks like we got 1, 2, 3. So I'm gonna take all those bolts out and see if this heater box comes out. If it don't, and there's another bolt somewhere, I'll let you know. Man, I took that last bolt out and just tapped that, and that whole thing fell out. So that was all the bolts you need to take it out. It's got these little dowels right here that clip into the top of that intake box. You can get all that factory insulation out of there that looks like it's just a fire hazard. All right, I've got all the little holes patched up with the MIG welder on the Firewall. The hole right here where this heater goes, I still haven't decided if I'm gonna ever put the stock heater back in. So I'm just gonna put a flat metal behind it, and I'm just gonna put this paper on here and trace it out and make me a template out of paper and transfer it to metal. Cut it out. I'm gonna put the metal on the inside, and I'm just gonna use these holes to bolt the metal on. That way, if I ever decide I want to go back with the heater, I can. If I decide one day that I don't want to ever use the heater again, I'll just take that piece of metal and use it as a template to cut this out. But at this point, if the heater does work, the cheapest option for me, if I ever decide I want a heater like for the defrost or something, would be to put the stock heater back in it. Alright, here's what I come up with. I just took it on the inside of the car and just trimmed and trimmed and trimmed until it fit in there nicely. Now I'm going to take this and transfer it to metal, and we'll cut it out and see how it fits. Alright, I changed my mind on the steel because I had a piece of aluminum laying around. The reason I'm going to go with this aluminum is, one, it's free. 2, it's going to be easier to cut because I can just use 10 snips. If you come here on the inside of the Firewall, you can see where I patched. You can see where I patched these holes from the inside, and they're sticking in here, so I'm going to have to grind them down smooth so my piece of aluminum will sit flat on there. When I was grinding the inside of the Firewall, I ground the popper rivets off that hold this plate on. I'm just going to put this away in my drawer for safekeeping, and we'll leave it off for now. I got that piece of aluminum taped to the inside of the Firewall, and I'm just going to mark these out where I'm going to put some holes in them. to bolt them onto the firewall. I'll probably just use some little button head bolts, 1/4 inch button head bolts to hold it on there for now. I'm not going to do these holes. I'm going to end up probably mounting my coil over here somewhere, and that'll help hold that piece of aluminum on too. There it is, bolted in. I don't think it's gonna look too bad when it's all one color. I don't think you'll really be able to tell too much. I got some parts in the mail. I got my front tires and my front wheels. Let's open those things up and see what they look like. Well, they look like Volkswagen wheels. Man, I really wanted like the 10 spokes or the slotted mag wheels, but I just couldn't afford those. These torque thrust, man, they are cheap. I think that's why everybody runs them. But I think they'll look fine. Black wheels on a white car. They do look like Volkswagen wheels though. Those tires are Volkswagen tire size. I think they might be a little bit tall. I probably should have got something a little shorter. But I've got them now. I'm going to put them on. We'll see what they look like. Go ahead and get this and see if it clears everything on my car. See if it clears the brakes and the steering. Looks like it's going to clear everything. Now these are the 15 by 4.5, and those are 165 15s. I gotta clean my tire machine off over here, and I'm gonna get them mounted up. All right, got one on. I'm gonna put the other one on and put the back tires on. Then I'm gonna lower it down. We'll see how high the front sets. There it is, sitting on all fours. Now I could actually roll it. I'm gonna end up rolling it outside and trying to clean all that undercoating and stuff off the firewall. Okay, I got the firewall all cleaned up. I went ahead and just sprayed some spray paint on it. It don't have to be perfect. I just want everything to be one color. The black firewall was driving me crazy, especially the black up here was driving me crazy. But got the wheels and tires on it. I think now I'm just gonna put the front sheet metal on it just to see what it looks like, and we might roll it outside and see what it looks like from a distance instead of right up on it. I'm kind of curious to see what it looks like with all the fenders and stuff on it. So I'm going to start putting that stuff back on. Okay, the radiator support just bolts on with 2 3/8 bolts on each side, one on the bottom, one on top. And you will have to provide those or use the old ones off of your old subframe. The kit does not come with those. As you can see, my front bumper's bent pretty bad. See, it's where it's supposed to be there. On this side, it's up inside here, and this piece is actually bent too, but this piece is actually bent too. But I just wanted to see what it looks like with the bumper on there. I'm gonna have to get a new bumper because that one's bent so bad it won't even fit on the subframe. But I think I'm gonna set the hood on it and roll it outside, and we'll see what it looks like. Kind of like the stance of it. I think the front may be a little bit too high, but I can fix that later if so. I'm going to start on the rear suspension next, and if the rear suspension actually lowers it down a little bit, I may end up getting a 4-inch drop axle for the front, just to kind of lower the front down with the rear. But if it's set just like that, like it is right now, I would leave it. I totally love the way it sets right now, but I know the rear suspension is going to probably lower it a little bit. I don't know what the motor's going to do to the front suspension, but I really like the way it sets right now. I think it looks really cool. If you've watched up to this point, man, I really appreciate it. Don't be afraid to give me a little thumbs up. Help me out a little bit. Next video should be the rear suspension, and that'll be a 4-link on the rear. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.